I never imagined a day would come when I'd have to face the people who made my childhood a nightmare. They are my parents, but they let my sister's best friend, a girl named Luna, torment me for years without lifting a finger. For over 10 years, I've lived in peace with my grandparents, staying far away from everything related to that family. Yet, after I got pregnant, they reached out, hoping to be grandparents. But what did I say in the final email I sent them? When I was little, those years were truly a nightmare. I don't remember exactly how old I was when I first began to feel the difference between myself and other kids, but I remember always being the one left out, always standing on the outside, watching the world of my family. Everything started with Luna, my sister Sam's best friend. Sam and Luna had been playing together since they were very young, and as they grew older, they remained inseparable. Luna came to our house so often that she felt like a member of the family. At first, I just felt left out because I couldn't join in their games or conversations. But that feeling of being left out quickly turned into hatred when Luna started bullying me systematically. She didn't just ignore me or distance herself. Luna actually began tormenting me. The cruel jokes, mocking comments, the times she threw things at me, and even the times she shoved me in the back when I did nothing wrong. Every time I begged to join in their games, Luna would ridicule me, telling me not to bother. I remember once when I was watching them play in the living room, I asked Luna if I could join in, and she just sneered and said, "Go away, don't bother us." I can still feel the sting of that humiliation, but what hurt even more was Sam's indifference. Instead of stepping in to protect me, Sam said nothing. It was like I didn't exist in their world. It was just me against Luna, with no one to turn to. One day when I was only 7, my parents sat me down and talked to me about Luna. They told me she had a tough home life and that I needed to understand her situation. They said that if I was patient, she would change. My mom explained that I needed to learn to love and forgive Luna because she was important to Sam. I didn't understand why things had to be this way, why I had to tolerate the cruelty of a child that even my parents wouldn't stand up to. From then on, every time Luna came over, I had to endure the isolation and her cruel words. I remember once when our whole family went to a gathering on my mom's side, Luna took a chair that wasn't hers. When I tried to sit down, she said, "There's no room for you. Go cry in a corner somewhere." At that moment, I just stood there and cried, but I didn't understand why my parents didn't say anything. At that point, I realized that their silence was complicity. The whole family saw what happened, especially my grandparents. After that, my grandparents couldn't stay silent anymore, and they criticized my parents, demanding they do something about it. While my parents made some changes, it didn't last long. They still allowed Luna to come over, and nothing really changed. It seemed like Luna was the center of attention in this family, while I was just a shadow of myself. When I was 12, my life completely changed. Things had spiraled out of control. One day, my parents announced that Luna would be moving in with us. The reason they gave was that Luna was having a tough time at home, and they wanted to help her. I couldn't understand why they would make such a decision, but I had no say in the matter. I was just a kid, and my parents said it was the best thing for the family. I felt like I was being pushed out of my own home, a place where I had already suffered enough because of Luna. When Luna moved in, I lost my personal space. She didn't just disturb my peace, she found new ways to make me feel like I didn't belong there. The looks of disdain she gave me, the cruel games she and Sam played together while I was left watching. Luna didn't change at all. If anything, she became even more cruel now that she had more power in the house. I remember one time, when my parents weren't home, Luna and I were alone. I asked her if I could join her and Sam in their conversation, and she laughed at me. She said something that has stuck with me to this day. "You're worthless. Don't ever think you can be part of this." Her words cut through me like a knife. I felt completely discarded. When my parents came home, they scolded me for making a big deal out of nothing, instead of stopping Luna. I realized that no one here was going to protect me, and that made me feel invisible in my own home. After a while, I started to feel so depressed I couldn't bear it any longer. I thought about talking to my parents, but I knew they would just take Luna's side, like they always did. When I couldn't take it anymore, I confided in my grandparents about what was happening. They were shocked. I didn't expect them to react so strongly. They couldn't understand why my parents would let Luna continue to torment me. They decided that I should move in with them, as my parents were clearly failing to protect me. After many arguments, my parents finally agreed. Moving in with my grandparents was a relief. But even though I was away from my parents and Luna, I couldn't forget what had happened all those years. Those memories felt like wounds that would never heal. And that's why I decided I would never return to their lives. But I didn't expect that one day they would reach out to me again, especially when I was carrying a new life of my own. After I moved in with my grandparents, everything seemed to get much better. My grandparents were not just caretakers, they were my biggest supporters. They understood me and always stood by my side, protecting me and helping me regain the confidence that Luna and my parents had stripped away. I didn't have to worry about Luna's cruel jokes or my parents' indifference anymore. I lived peacefully, focused on my studies, and slowly rebuilt my life. However, despite the years of peace, I couldn't forget the pain that Luna and my parents had caused me. The memories of being abandoned and tormented lingered like scars in my mind, and I always knew that once I left them behind, there would be no going back. My grandparents always encouraged me to not hold on to hatred for too long, but I couldn't easily forgive what they had done to me. My life continued quietly until one day, out of the blue, I received an unexpected email from my parents. At first, I thought it was some kind of misunderstanding, maybe an email meant for someone else, but when I opened it, I couldn't believe my eyes. In the message, my parents said they had found out that I was pregnant and were overjoyed about becoming grandparents. They expressed excitement and hoped to be a part of my life and the child's life. I couldn't believe it. After everything that had happened, they were now reaching out to reconnect. I was stunned, not only because they knew about my pregnancy, but because they wanted to be a part of my life after all the years of silence and neglect. I couldn't fathom why they thought I would open up to them after all the pain and abandonment they had put me through. The feeling of betrayal flooded back in full force. How could I ever forget the years of suffering, the neglect, and the emotional toll it had taken on me when they turned a blind eye to everything? But they didn't stop with one email. They sent several more, one after another, saying that they wanted to make things right and be involved in my life. They claimed they wanted to fix everything and that they hoped to be a part of my child's life. But I couldn't forget their silence and lack of concern during all those years. Each email made me more frustrated and disappointed. I didn't respond to any of them for weeks, but they kept coming, each one like a desperate plea to reconnect. Finally, I couldn't stay silent any longer. I sat down and wrote a long email, explaining clearly that I didn't want them in my life anymore. I asked them to stop contacting me and leave me in peace. I told them that I didn't need them, that I didn't want them to be grandparents to my child, because they had never truly been parents to me. I needed to end things once and for all to protect myself and my family. After sending that email, I felt a sense of relief, but also a deep sense of unease. Would they keep trying to contact me? How many more times would I have to face these people? The feeling of uncertainty lingered, and I couldn't shake the worry that they would find another way to reach out. It was hard to know if this would be the end or if I would have to keep guarding myself from their attempts to re-enter my life. The weight of that decision still haunted me. After I sent the email asking my parents to stop contacting me, I thought everything would end there. But no, they kept sending more emails, and this time I felt my patience wearing thin. Their messages became increasingly desperate and persuasive, trying to convince me that I had overreacted and that I needed to think about the baby. They said the child deserved to have grandparents, and that was part of the family. They begged me for a chance to make things right, to prove that they would be great grandparents. I couldn't understand why they thought I would easily forget everything that had happened. I had spent a large part of my childhood living in loneliness and humiliation, and now they wanted me to invite them back into my life, into the life of the child I was carrying. Every word they wrote in those follow-up emails made me feel cornered, as if I had no choice but to face them once again. It felt like I was living in a nightmare, caught between wanting to protect my new family and the pressure from people who had once caused me so much pain. I started feeling mentally exhausted, and at times I just wanted to ignore everything and find a way to live peacefully without having to confront these people again. But deep down, I knew that if I didn't stand firm now, if I let them back into my life once more, I would forever be trapped in the past. I knew I had to be stronger. I couldn't back down. After a few days of thinking, I decided to respond again. This time, I wasn't just asking them to stop. I firmly told them that I would never accept them back into my life. I told them that they couldn't fix things, that they couldn't change the past. I was strong enough to protect myself and my new family, and I would not let them invade my life again. I pointed out that I didn't need them to be grandparents because a real family is built on love and respect, something they had never shown. Sending that email gave me a sense of relief, but also anxiety. Would they listen this time and back off? Or would they find another way to reach out to me? The uneasy feeling never left me, and I couldn't be sure that I had truly ended things. The uncertainty about what might happen next kept me on edge. I knew that no matter what, I would have to continue protecting my life and not let the ghosts of the past affect my future. But deep down, I still couldn't shake the feeling of confusion and worry about what would happen next. After I sent the final email asking my parents to stop contacting me, I hoped they would understand and let it go. But I was wrong. They didn't back off, as I expected. Every day, I kept receiving more emails from them, all filled with pleading, attempts at persuasion, and even some reproachful words. They told me I was overreacting, that I wasn't giving them a chance to make things right, and that the child deserved grandparents. These words only made me feel cornered, like I had no escape. I tried to stay calm, but every time I read those emails, a wave of anger rose within me. They not only didn't understand the pain they had caused me, but it also felt like they saw me as a child incapable of making my own decisions. I had been through so much suffering, and I couldn't allow them to continue stepping into my life. One day, I decided enough was enough. I couldn't let them keep bothering me. I didn't just write another email. This time, I called them directly. I needed to hear their voices, to feel something from them to be sure I was making the right decision. When my dad answered the phone, I could sense the disappointment and anger in his voice. He said I didn't understand that I was killing the last chance for the family to come back together. I couldn't hold back my emotions anymore. I told him I didn't need the family to come back together, and I didn't need any healing from them. What I needed was peace in my life, free from the turmoil caused by people who had hurt me so much. I told him to stop contacting me and to respect my decision. It felt like a weight had been lifted off my shoulders, but deep down, I still felt heavy. My dad still wouldn't accept my rejection. He said I would regret this decision. Those words echoed in my mind. I didn't know if he truly understood me or was just trying to hold on to something he knew he had lost. After that conversation, I felt an overwhelming emptiness. Was what I had done right? Was I being too harsh? But in that moment, I realized that I couldn't continue living in fear and worry about the past. I needed to move forward, no longer allowing the past to control my life. Although I had decided to sever all ties with my parents, the unease still lingered. Would they continue sending letters? Would they find another way to reach me? These questions haunted me every day. But I knew that no matter what, I had done the right thing by protecting myself and my family.